Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell. This week is part 2 with Chad Ward from Traeger Grills and Whiskey Bend Barbecue. We had so much fun that we kept the conversation going. Lots of great information in here about partnership and sponsorship, so please enjoy. This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com. Alrighty, we're here today for part 2 with the man.
Yes, this is the part where me and you talk politics, Luke. I can't wait. People are going to love it.
That could be part 3, maybe. I'm so far removed from any of that. I just don't even follow it anymore, which I think after following it as a job for 25 years, just stepping completely away from it has done so much for my psyche and mental health.
Well, and I got to say, too, it's just got to be like a relief, right? Like you're not trying to stay up with everything. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be a huge relief after doing it your whole career.
Yeah, but it's, my brain switches into then what do I need to do for me and what do I need to do for my business? And
let's cook some barbecue and learn how to run a damn barbecue business, ain't it, old boy?
That's right, fella. That's right. Well, we had such a great conversation the other day on the first part of this that there were a few more questions that I wanted to ask you. And so you graciously agreed to do a part 2. So that makes me happy because we always have had great dynamics and great conversations. So
yes, we have. And Luke, I look forward to plenty more in the future, sir.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with a couple of these, and then I want to get kind of granular on a topic that's been, I think, thrust into the forefront, which happens every year in the off season of barbecue. People get bored and they start getting into this one avenue, but we'll get there on that one.
Yes, we will. That's what we call a tease. So Luke just teased you guys. You don't have to hang around, but I promise it's an important topic.
What do you think is missing from competition barbecue these days?
The interesting thing is, I don't know that it's missing as much now because there's some options out there, but I like what KCBS is doing with steak. Obviously, SCA's done it for numerous years, but I feel like they're having this middle ground between not competing in food at all or dedicating 3 days to a barbecue competition. And if you really think about it, 3 days dedication is if you got your stuff together. You know what I mean? You
right.
got a travel day, you got 36 hours, even if you're not a Thursday night pull-in team, you've got 36 hours on site, and then you got to get home and you got another half day of cleanup. So at least a 3 to 3.5 day commitment. So I think that's missing. That not having something in between, which we now have, so that void's a little bit filled. And the other one I kind of get back to, is something like a guinea pig, where people are in at an all-in rate. For you guys that don't know what guinea pig is, it's an event numerous events that Sterling Ball, and I guess back then it was Smithfield, and some people came together and said, hey, Snake River Farms, people came together and said, hey, one price entry fee, everybody gets all their meats, and the meats are on equal ground, everybody's cooking with them, and it's kind of like an SCA, it's a lottery system, you got Cooler 17, boom, there it is. And usually it's a gorgeous Yeti full of delicious meats. But I think something like that where, one, you're leveling the playing field, and it doesn't have to be all, if you're trying to do it at a lower price point, dude, I'm all for guinea pig where everybody's got to cook a prime. Hey, dude, let's talk about who can cook a brisket. You know what I mean? Like, let's throw in, a nice prime in there that everybody's starting off the same size. So I think something like that, because I think as we have more and more just natural inflation, we've already seen this hobby sport, whatever you want to call it. That's a whole other discussion. I mean, we're a bunch of fat guys sitting around drinking. I have a hard ass time calling it a sport.
I can't do it anymore, buddy. I can't.
and so I mean, because I look at it, like what other sport would we all excel at? None.
Maybe curling.
Cornhole.
Curling. It is Winter Olympics time.
Yep, curling. Yes, but I think something to level the playing field and the cost of entry. Barrier of entry to get into competition barbecue is pretty significant right now when you look at the amount of pitch you got to buy. Something to get it there. Even if my first couple of contests, trailer. What's a trailer, bro? Well, that's called getting three buddies with F-150s and filling them up. Make sure they all got trailer hitches and taking them to town.
Right. And I've often said, I would love to see a contest where everybody had the same cooker. Like let's just say everybody had an Ironwood Traeger. Okay, maybe two of them, 2 pits, mm-hmm. And then you have a $300 Walmart gift card, and then that's all you have. You can bring all the tools that you want, but all your ingredients got to come from that $300 Walmart gift card.
Spices too?
Spices, sauces, meats.
That is super interesting.
Let's see who can cook.
Yep.
That eliminates. Sure, you will need to work with Walmart to make sure you had enough briskets there and other stuff. But yeah, let's all cook some choices. Let's all cook Walmart pork and chicken. Let's all, sauce rubs, everything from there.
What could be interesting, and I'll talk to Donovan about this at Pigfest. You already got a lot of good teams that come in on Pigfest. Why not do and they always do their sponsor thing on Thursday night. Why not do a 10-person of that on Thursday night at the sponsor event?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You got the girls there, have Publix, $300 Publix gift card. You work it out with the closest Publix to make sure that they've got, and I think here'd be the other thing too. I don't think Publix I've never seen Publix carry a full packer. They just carry flats.
Right. That's fine.
So, you know what I mean? You don't ask them to alter, don't special order this and whatever, but literally a grocery store stop and cook. That would be rad.
Right. Then you have it sponsored by Publix, and you have an event that is, let's go. I'm in. Let's go do that.
That'd be a blast. I like the idea of that.
Absolutely. I just think it's, back to your comment.
Yeah, and I think like me and you talked about before, we go back to the World Food Championships and kind of what it meant back in the day and this and that. And, some of our funnest days, both two guys that I think I got to cook day 2 every day except one that I went to WFC. So I want to say 5 out of 6 times we cooked second day. And, man, it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And that's some of that same kind of creativity to where I would even go to the fact of like, look, yeah, we're asking you to turn in brisket, but it doesn't have to be the typical, barbecue flavor profile. You try,
right?
Dude, if you want to do some kind of Asian flair or something like that, and it's a damn good bite, then score it as such. You know what I mean?
Do some burrito tacos or something.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Bring some creativity in it. There's a couple things you said that I wanted to go back to. One, calling this a sport, it always makes me laugh. I'm like, how can you call something a sport where the one thing that I struggle with all day Saturday is just making sure I have time to sit down?
I know. Last week
right?
It was funny. Me and Malloy were sitting there, and you know how it gets with cans. You know what I mean? Like, and so we he's like, all right, man. He's like, we're gonna have about 10 minutes to sit down. He's like, then it's full go till we close the last lid. I'm like, thinking the same thing as you. I'm like, yeah, I don't think Jordan said that to Pippen. 30 seconds to go in the fourth quarter.
Hey, man, rest up. It's time to go. Yeah, but you mentioned steak and that you like where KCBS is going with that. I
like the idea of it.
I
haven't cooked one.
Right. And I'm not going to because to me, they've already lost that steak battle. There's already a group that does that. I would have loved, and Darren and I have talked about this as kind of his idea. And if we would have done burgers on Friday night instead of steak, I'd have done that every contest and twice, because it's just fun and you can be creative and do something different like that. And I think it would be a lot of fun. Plus, nobody owns that space.
Yep.
So I think that would be, I don't know, it's just an idea. But
I'd have probably done catfish, old boy.
Oh, dude!
Qualifier.
One contest in West Virginia, they did a secret meat challenge on Friday night, and they give us a cooler, and inside that cooler was a cart. And I'm like, I'm looking at this fucking thing, and I'm like,
I'm eliminating myself.
we used to shoot these things with shotguns in the river. Like, what? Yep. What are we doing here? So luckily, Mom and Dad were there on that Friday night. I'm walking back, and I looked at Dad. I'm like, get an apron on. He's like, what do you mean? And I said, I don't know what to do with this thing. There's a whole carp in here. He's just looks at, the look on his face was like, what? What are you talking about?
What the hell are they doing?
Right. He's like, we used to shoot these things. I'm like, I know, man. I know. It's funny.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a fun time, though, because we got everybody involved that day. It was really good. So, I know you don't compete that much anymore.
No.
But back in the day when you were running, did you have a set schedule during the week?
I did. So actually, I would. I had as much as I was telling you about the rub bagby Visio diagrams, I was always like an over documenter. So I literally had an Excel spreadsheet with a micro ran that I would go like, and literally I still got it. It's not on this rig. It's on another one. But I literally would click on the first tab. It literally said, this is Tuesday morning of comp week. Click here. And I would click on it and it would print off just this succession of spreadsheets, my shopping list, my recipes for my injections and sauces, my packing list, and then my timeline.
Wow.
And so I would staple all that together on Tuesday morning, and dude, that was my call sheet. Just boom, boom, boom. And as long as I followed that until Saturday at 1:30 or 2 o'clock, depending on if it was KCBS or FBA, it was pretty. So obviously, I didn't like changing a lot of recipes unless I had to, unless something fell off, because then that meant about an hour and a half of Excel work.
Became an administrative nightmare.
Exactly. But no, it was great, and I just found that, especially in that run, and you know this, Luke, where if you're running 25, 30 contests a year. And you're working a full-time job, you know what I mean? Like, it can get very Groundhog Day-ish, and you can sit there and go, did I load that tote this time, or was that last week when I was going to a contest? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so, man, so then I just had not only a shopping list and a trailer list, but like I had a checklist that, hey, I would walk around through the trailer. If it wasn't off the trailer, I would check it off. And then any totes that I needed to put on the trailer, got put on the trailer. Plus, all the totes had what they were supposed to have inside of them on top, and yeah, it was pretty well laid out.
You know who is the master of that? I should interview Little General.
Oh, I could see that. Little G could do it. Oh,
she is an absolute organization maven. I mean, she is unbelievable with the level of detail. She's made it so that I can do it. And I'm the most disorganized bastard in the world. But, like, I can walk in that trailer with the list and have what I need or what I need to go grab it, check it all off, and we don't have to worry about whether that's right. We know that that's right. So it's really, that has changed how we prepare for a contest.
And I'll tell teams that are getting started, like, if you figure out, like, oh, man, how do I do that? Obviously, the earlier the better, but let's say you go and you took a contest and you get done with that contest and you're like, man, that felt good. I felt like I had everything. Like, we didn't forget nothing, this and that. Dude, take that time the next day when you get home, go through that trailer, look at everything you had, write it down, look at everything that's in your wash tubs that you're going to wash or that you're going to replace, and just start to get all that down. And then when you go to get ready for the next contest, you can kind of fill in the gaps. It's not a huge project to kind of get that ball rolling.
Right, but I think it's also important to note stuff that you don't use that you take.
Yes, because, dude, it will sit on your trailer for the other day, well, not the other day, like a year and a half ago during COVID, I sold my fifth wheel comp trailer. As organized as I just told you I was, I found 7 different partial rolls of aluminum foil. I'm looking at one right now. It's vintage. It's like 5 years age.
Wow, don't start a new trend about aging your foil.
You age your tin foil and what it does to your ribs, unbelievable. Sam's Club Members Mark, 6.5 year age aluminum foil. money.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, you just mentioned something cool. And I think it's important. Like, if you don't use something for 3 contests, yank it. You don't need to take it for a lot of reasons. You don't need to take it, but just simplify your life. You mentioned that that's the advice that you would give to somebody starting out. What's some other advice that you would give to a smart, driven young person that's about to enter the real world of competition barbecue?
Oh man. I'll tell you what. This used to not be my piece of advice, but finding a good class. Like, and the judging route, I was never a judge, never got into it, never wanted to be on that side of the table. Respect judges, appreciate everything they do. We wouldn't have a hobby without them. I say that most times, except some Saturday afternoons. And then I call them other 4-letter words. But no, I would say find, if you want to start out the judging route, it's a great way. Just get an idea, get your feet wet. I did none of this. I just found competition barbecue. There was nothing out there besides the Brethren. I didn't even know the Brethren when I went to my first contest. But I think judging and finding a good class, except the one thing I go back and forth on is I think after you cook 1 or 2 contests, maybe going to a class is better because you understand a little bit more about the timelines and the cadences.
It gives you a frame of reference.
Right. You have a frame of reference of, okay, this is when I really lost my shit. This is where I need to pay attention. Something happened between chicken and ribs or rib and pork that, man, I really want to kind of understand how these guys, move from category to category.
And I think that's important to touch on a little bit because I think that, and I agree with you, that advice is cook a couple or cook one.
Or go help somebody.
Go help somebody, judge 1 or 2, then take your class because then you have at least a small idea of how you are and what you do. I think a lot of guys, especially now that get into this, they go take a class first.
Yep.
They become robots to that program. And then when that stops hitting, then they have no frame of.
They don't understand how to re-engineer a recipe, how to tweak flavor profiles. Maybe it's a tenderness tweak. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. They're like, well, my ribs went to 206 this time, just like they did the first time when I did well. And well, guess what, man? If you're at 900 feet above sea level and the last time you cooked at sea level and things change, barometric pressure changes, everything it changes.
Humidity. I used to always write that stuff down. I got black composition books. I found a bunch of them when I was moving and then unpacking. Then I got 7 black composition books from all the contests I cooked. And it literally would just have, I would just pull up on the app and, what's the temperature, what's the humidity, if there was any notable wind, just different things. Not like I was going to be able to calculate it and figure out a change, but like I would know, okay, last time I was in some shit like this, everything drugged 15 or 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like knowing that kind of stuff. And that kind of gets to my 2 other just quick tips if you're getting started. 1, practice cook. And I mean practice cook like you're cooking a contest. Build the box, let the box sit 10 to 15 minutes. Time it out to where, hey, I'm going to open this box, judge it on presentation, and I'm going to eat 1 piece out of it at 10 minutes, 1 piece out of it at 12 and a half minutes, and 1 piece out of it at 15 minutes. That way, whether if you're box 1, box 3, or box 6 at that table, you know what your food's going to taste like.
Yep.
And one more is early is on time. When you are first getting started, you want to have your box ready to go at the beginning of that window. Because guess what? You just bought yourself an extra 5 minutes to get ribs ready. And then if you just keep with that, you buy yourself an extra 5 minutes every turn in, which is huge when you're just starting to get your feet under you.
Absolutely. And I think that, as you get better and more experience, you can tweak with that a little bit. But I love Kimmy being out the door 8 minutes before noon.
Yep.
That gives her plenty of time to get there.
And now
I've got more time to do all the stupid shit that I do with ribs.
Dance.
Right. Well, sometimes you got to crack off a little boogie. So let's switch gears here a little bit. And this is something that we alluded to earlier. There's been I think this happens every off season. A lot of people are getting ready for their season. They're not cooking and they've got time to spend on other things, other pursuits in barbecue. And I think you're just seeing a lot about it right now, and a lot of people either praising what they've done or being a little butthurt about not getting something. But sponsorship is always a popular topic this time of year.
It is.
And seeing as how you have a barbecue supply store and you work for one of the largest grill manufacturers in the world, I'm sure that you get constantly bombarded with these requests.
It's happened twice. This morning.
Right. It's happened twice this morning. So when you are assessing a team as to whether you're going to be, and I even hate the word sponsorship, right? Mm-hmm. That means that if a person wants a sponsorship, they want the sponsor to give them a bunch of shit for free that they'll use. That's, for me, a sponsorship. And yes, they get some notoriety on social and everything. I like to treat it more as a partnership.
Yes.
Because the hope is that if you invest in me, then I'm going to invest in you, and we're going to make things better for everybody. And I think just having that background from my trade association days, and we always call them partnerships, because I think that's truly what they are. When you're looking at a request from a partner, what are some of the key things that you look for right off the bat?
Well, so first off, if you don't mind, I want to take one quick step back, Luke.
Sure.
And I want to tell the story of how I got my first two sponsors. And then I think that'll lead into what I like to see as somebody that can award sponsorship partnerships, or bring partners on board, if you will.
Right.
So for me, I was using two brands a lot. Back before he had the sauce or anything, Craig Sherry, Texas Pepper Jelly, had his jellies and his rib glazes. And Darian from Cosmos, he had his, at that point, he just had his rub line. No sauce, none of the other stuff he's in now. And I probably had ordered from this before I had my store. I probably ordered from Darian and Craig 4 to 6 times a year. So they knew I used the product. I popped my first grand championship. That Sunday morning, I literally just sent an email that said, "Hey guys, I want to let you know I got my first GC yesterday." Introduced myself a little bit. I was pretty good at being on social back then, kind of early. So, and that was before I did the radio show or anything like that. So they knew of me, and like, "Hey, just wanted to thank you. Got my first GC yesterday. Hey, Craig, I used your rib candy on my ribs and my pork wrap, whatever I had it in at the time. Really, really enjoyed it. Hey, if I could ever do anything to help spread the word about your brand down here in Florida, let me know. I'd be more than happy to." Very similar tone and email to Cosmos, and both of them reached out to me Monday morning. Like, "Hey man, that's super cool. Love what you did. Can obviously see you love the product." And that's key. Those guys could go back to, probably wouldn't Shopify back then, but whatever their back-end system was, Chad Ward, or technically if you're looking up credit card transactions, it would be Michael Ward. But, Ward, like in Florida, this guy's done a couple $100 worth of business with us. Oh yeah, he buys, a couple $100 a year. And then they said, "Hey, we'd just love to give you whatever product you need, send you, some swag, some banners." And boom, it went off like that. It was always for me about, "Hey, I like your product, and here's why." There's the data behind it that says you've used the product and you've got experience with it, that kind of thing. And then at the same time, I just kind of brought to them, "Hey, if I can help you spread the word down here," and this is back before, classes were hot and all that stuff, I would love to. And it simply started that way. And those guys were always good partners, good enough partners that when I opened my store, guess what PO number 1 and PO number 2 were? Craig Sherry and Darian. Because I was one of those that if you believed in me and you supported me when I opened my store and I got a chance to further elevate you, you're going to be the first 2 guys I think of. And I think now there's so many people out there that for $1 or an extra $100 on a gift card will jump brands. And man, as soon as you get labeled as that guy, you're toxic. I'm not going to go name any names, but anybody that's been around long enough can think of a handful of them. I know I sure can. And it's one of those things that when a brand is aligning with you and what a brand is looking for, in my opinion, is you've got to be an extension of that brand. And that doesn't mean, and that doesn't mean it's all got to be the same looking person or this and that, but you're an extension of it. The reason a brand aligns with a partner, a cook partner, is to further their reach. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to reach an audience that they may not be reaching right now. And you've got to think about it as somebody that's asking for a partnership. You've got to think about it through the other partner's eyes, because they're the one with all the power. You're reaching out. What do you do to persuade that person? And no offense, it's not going to be your 5,500 followers. You know what I mean? It's
right.
I get so many of them, and just the tone of it. Like, here's what you're missing out on. It's like, I don't know, man. We're a $1 billion brand and you're doing pretty good.
Right. We just went public last year.
Right. We're these 7,500 people love my brand. And dude, that's awesome. We all have to start somewhere. I'm not trying to be discouraging, but where it really rolls into is hey, what can you do for that brand? Whether it be, hey man, I cook local classes at my barbecue supply store or at the Ace Hardware. Oh, dude, that's interesting to me, because guess what? At Traeger, we're partners with Ace. Oh, I'm interested. What Ace are you doing that at? Now we get into a dialogue. Oh, what Ace is that? Oh, no kidding. That's our largest Ace in that state. That's great that you're doing that there. You know what I mean? So there's ways that if you talk about what you do or what you have the capability of doing, I am going to spend a lot more time reading that than I am a resume. Obviously, I want to know that you're credible. I want to know, and honestly, I still keep up with it enough. I've kind of pretty much got an idea if you're credible. But right. What have you done with other partners? If you've got those examples of, and hey, real quick, our first partner was, Johnny Lee Seasoning. And we started with Johnny 2 years ago. And since then, we've, set up at the state fair and helped them demo product there, blah, blah, blah. What have you done? You know what I mean? As far as for partners. And I feel like those little bit of things, and just keep it conversational. Introduce yourself. What can you do for the partner? And then leave it an open close, as I call it. Look forward to hearing from you. Here's my information, and go from there. And the next thing people say is, if I haven't heard anything, when can I tactfully reach back out? 7 to 10 days is my personal opinion.
Right. And wow, there's so much there, so much great information there. I think that also, in addition to all of that, it's how you can, let's face it, we live in an online world. So I think a lot of that comes into not just what you put up there for your own barbecue brand, but what you put up there personally.
Yes, you bring up two good points there, Luke. When it gets to the point that an email engages me, like, you know what, I do need to dig into this person. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at your, Whiskey Bent barbecue account. Taking myself for instance. Oh man, yep, got good followers, content quality is good, this and that. But you better bet I'm going to go over to Facebook and I'm going to look at Chad Ward's account.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I want to make sure there's nothing there that, as a brand, something goes down and you've got this staunch stance towards anything. I want to know about it. I want to know what we're walking into. You know what I mean? I want to see how you conduct yourself. It's cool to have videos of the 922 shot. It's not cool of some guy carrying you on your back at 9:22 in the evening, putting you in your truck. You know what I mean? Those kind of things. So,
right.
Brands are always going to look at what upside people have, but also at what downside or what other potential pitfalls are there. So how you conduct yourself personally can definitely impact your partnerships professionally.
Right. And, even to this day, whenever I get a phone call from somebody I don't know, the first thing I do is Google them.
Yeah.
And just to kind of see what's this person about? Do we have common ground? If this is something that I'm going to try and that I need to negotiate something, or rather, you want to find out. And I think everybody does something similar to that when they're looking at people. So it's just making sure that you're a good actor, not just with your barbecue team, but just all around. Like, brands don't want to partner with people who've alienated a whole sector of customers.
Yep. And I will say another one too, when it gets down to that, one of them that I always, if you reach out to me and you tell me about your team and this and that, and if you have a history of doing charitable events, a tangible history, not you've done one or two, but like, hey, for the last 5 years, twice a year, we go out and help, you know, heal a hero or something like that. And you can, show, those are always ones that go to the top of mind too, because I feel like that speaks a lot to character.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, you also touched on something else like brand jumpers. And I mean, and it's eventually it happens to everybody at some point. If you're successful in this and you build a following and you have a sponsor and then you get approached by another person that wants to sponsor you, those are tough conversations.
Well, Luke, can we have a very candid one right here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so a few years ago, me and you've been buddies forever. I start the store up. Figure, I don't have anybody in your neck of the woods. Hey, dude, we'll bring you on board, right?
Absolutely.
And we worked together, what, 2 years, 3, a couple years?
3 years, I think, yeah.
And then you got the opportunity to become part of Team BPS with Big Papa. And what comes along with that, being able to get thousands of dollars a year to donate to a charity. He offered you and Kim a package that I couldn't. You know what I mean? But as your friend, I knew it was a lot better opportunity for you once you shared it with me. You called me. We talked about it. I still to this day, I'll never forget. You sent me a $100 gift card to Loudmouth Golf to get some shorts as a thank you. And that's the way. And that wasn't a breakup. That was just a, hey, man, I've got this opportunity. And as your friend and as somebody we had worked together for 3 years, man, there wasn't one point. You couldn't tell from the day we had that conversation to the next day. You could never tell the conversation had happened, could you? We were still best of buds.
Right. And that's, I mean, I'm trying not to brag or, or anything, but having done this for 25 years in the grocery industry, it's never, how do I want to say this? There's never a reason to go behind somebody's back on stuff like this and to not just be upfront with them and straight up with them. It's, and we've all had to have those conversations, and you just have to have those conversations. Yep. It's they're hard. They're not pleasant, and it's something we spend a lot of time with.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, I want to use one more example, and this is kind of more on a social media front than because on social media, you see it a lot more than you do with competition cooks. Had a guy, brought him on the team early on when I was kind of first starting with Traeger. A guy named Chuck, called Chuck's Flavor Train is his Instagram profile. And Chuck Motto, great guy out of Cali, had been with us, a few years, had ran kind of with our Cali crowd out there, Kendrick and all those guys. And just reached out to me one day, man, and said, hey, look, this thing's kind of starting to take off. I love Traeger. I'll always be Team Traeger, but I can't fulfill my contractual agreement anymore because I want to start cooking on other things. I feel like it's better for my page, all this. But, man, did it in a very polite, professional manner. Totally understand. Here's a guy, trying to lift off this, the side hustle, do his thing, and I don't want to be in the way of that. He's like, man, I don't want to use any other pellet grills. Like, dude, I'm still going to be Traeger, but I want to open up to being able to cook on ceramic and gas and charcoal. And totally get it, man. And so fast forward a couple years later, this past year, he's doing a pregame on the local TV station in San Fran. And one of the guys is like, man, I need your help on a prime rib. He's like, well, what are you cooking on? He's like, man, I'm cooking on a Traeger. He's like, dude, that's a great grill. He's like, I used to be part of Team Traeger. He's like, shout out to Benny and Chad. He's like, dude, let me tell you how to cook it on there. That's how you maintain and continue relationships. Even when you don't have that formal relationship anymore, you still remember the people that got you there and the people that helped you along the way. And I think that's just a great way of handling those times when you have to move on or there's another opportunity that's better for you, your family, and your brand.
Right. And that's super important, man, because number one, there are very few barbecue brands out there that are
investing.
But also very few that are people who are like, I don't really want to work with them. Like, yeah. Most people are inherently good in the business. So to say that, we 100% still support Whiskey Bent and, and send people there when we go there, when we're down there. I mean, it's, and it's not, it's all about being a good citizen. I think at the end of the day, we're all a part of this community, and being a good citizen can really just help you further not only your brand, but further barbecue. I mean, that's what we're all about at the end of the day. I mean, look at, like, look at both of us, for example. Like, I haven't done any competition videos or anything like that because people don't care about that. Number one, and I'm not going to help anybody cook chicken on their Traeger for a competition. I'm going to help you make a roasted chicken on your Traeger that's going to be banging.
And your in-laws are going to write you into the will after they taste it.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's, and I mean, and you're a great example of that. You started off in the barbecue world and now your goal is, I think this is your goal, is to put a Traeger in every backyard.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's not for this little microcosm that we all operate in and we all think is so important. It's in the grand scheme of things and cooking good food for good people. And I think that's the purest expression of love that you can have.
Yeah,
is making somebody a great meal.
Absolutely. No. And that's why, I think what's been so interesting, with my career at Traeger so far is like all the different people and all the different walks of life. Like, some of these guys could have anything in the world they want, but you see they've got FU money. You know what I mean? But dude, you serve them an amazing meal and it's like, for that 30 minutes, that's the most important thing in their world, which to me does not get lost upon me at any time that it happens. You know what I mean? It's just super cool.
I mean, right. When you're making tacos El Pastor for Marcus Allen, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, what can go wrong there? You know what I mean?
Where can you go from there? I mean, it's fantastic. It's, but yeah, thank you so much for this sponsorship conversation. I just think it's such a big deal right now, and that people need to get their mind around how to approach it and how to be a good partner. And I think it's just super. I mean, you see companies out there all the time now in the barbecue land that are like, I don't partner with anybody. I've been burned too many times.
And that's a shame. And that, you know what, as a community, that's shame on us for putting a brand in that situation. Maybe they should have been a little more selective on who they chose, but at the same time, the fact that they're, enough characters, because here's the other part too, is, people talking, people with ill intentions, hey man, brand X is kind of just handing shit out like candy. You may want to hit them up. You know what I mean? And that's not any kind of reputation you ever want to get as a brand either. So for me, one last thing as we close this is super key is you have to know and have experience with the product. You know what I mean? Don't go asking for a sponsorship on something you've never cooked with, never cooked on, never had in your hand. First thing people are going to look at is, do you know the product? Have you cooked with it or on it? So that to me is key. Show that you've already invested in that business before you ask that business to invest in you.
Right. I was telling you a story before we got started about a pork supplier friend of mine that, somebody had emailed him and said, I think you should sponsor me. And he's like, I think you should order a case of ribs and a case of butts.
Then tell me if it's worth getting a sponsorship. Yeah.
Right. I think you got to buy something first, Yeah.
And you just can't taste the cooked ribs your old boy next door had and said, yeah, I'm going to cook those.
Hey, I tried those. I tried these ribs from another guy and they were great.
I think they taste real good coming off my pit. I bet.
Right. Plus, I mean, purchasing the product, using it a couple months even gives you just a better avenue in your communication with that company.
Absolutely.
Be like, look, I've been cooking this product for 3 years or 3 months. We've done X with it. I just wanted to let you know how much I think of it. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
Yep.
And, make it a relationship.
What you made me do? I got a long flight on Monday. I'm going to dig back through the old whiskeyben@gmail.com archived messages. And I'm going to see if I can't find that first email I sent to Craig Cherry. And if I can, I will literally screenshot it and put it in my Instagram stories. Like, all right, here was my first sponsorship letter ever. When will you drop these, Luke?
This part one will go next week, Super Bowl week.
Okay.
That's kind of by design. Again, good partner. Get Traeger out there Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm going to do somebody else the next week, so it'll be like beginning of March.
Okay, so I got some time to find part 2. I got enough time to find that email. And what I'll try to do is find the email and then post it when you post this.
Right, and then we can also include it in the show notes as well, so
Cool.
people can go back and look at all the
Hopefully
things that we referenced. Yeah, oh man, typos. That's another thing.
Yeah, that is one more. While we're closing up, is all of you barbecue guys. Yes, some of us have college degrees, but that doesn't mean we're any good at English. I was the typical. I think I got back in the 800 system. I got 720 in math and 480 in English on SAT. So that right there tells you I always proofread all of my emails.
Well, I'll argue against that because my scores were very similar, and I ended up with an English degree. How'd that happen?
When I step back and take the barbecue away from it, though, you do look like a man that could be in a log cabin overlooking a lake penning a novel.
You don't know how close you are.
I know you so well, Luke Darnell.
You don't know how close you are, and how that is something that I will do before my time here is done. And yeah, I've actually got a few ideas about that. But
and then, hey, I'm going to be able to say, hey, I was the guy on the back deck Traegering for Luke Darnell as he was penning his Pulitzer Prize.
Are you going to make meatloaf for Luke Darnell, the world famous author?
I was making meatloaf for Luke Darnell when he was in a pivotal writer's block in Chapter 7, you assholes. That's what I contributed to this country.
In a bucolic Maine retreat on a lake.
As we were tucked into Nantucket. The sun setting.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. I could see it now.
I can too.
Kim and Julie sitting by the lake.
Yeah, just hanging out.
I finished
I somehow see you at a very antique writer's desk, only writing in calligraphy because that's the kind of classy man you are.
Oh God, you've hit on like 5 things that I've like chastised today. Like somebody sent me a note and it was written in block letters, and I'm like, what the fuck has this world come to? Like,
or the ones in all caps.
We're 3 years away from people making their X again for their signature. I mean, we may even already be there.
Oh my gosh,
it's funny. So good. Well, Chad, I want to thank you for your time, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. It's been a blast, and you can anytime a topic comes up you want to chat about, man, I'll do everything I can to make myself available.
And you know what? You're the first person that's had an official part 2. I've done 2 with Darren, but I kind of couched that other one a different way, more topic specific. But so was this one, I guess. Yeah. I think that hopefully some good will come of this, and we can get some people pointed in the right direction. So
awesome, brother. Happy to help. And for all y'all out there that don't know where to find me, at Whiskey Bent, BBQ, everywhere, social media wise, and then obviously Traeger Grills.
Traeger Grills, baby. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2022.